Good morning, kids. Amina, Salma, Yuman, Zaido, Nuti, and Hannah. So today I'm gonna record a ranting video about supplements. Uh, when I went on that breakthrough or whatever you want to call it, absorption problem, and a lot of things in my body got corrected. Whether it's sugar levels, whether it's immunity, whether it's scabs, whether I mean you name it, balance. Right now, I stand for prayer and I wouldn't sway a hair, and that's automatic. I don't even have to think of it. It's just like my body by itself. My brain controls it by itself. Reflex based balance. Everything just fine and dandy. Well, it's not like I don't know. Maybe I found the fountain of youth. You never know, but maybe not. Now, something has happened about a month ago. After going on to this practice or uh, uh, you know minerals and vitamins on daily basis, empty stomach, pulverize it into powder, crush it into powder, and I began to feel like when I started feeling the difference, it's like empty bags around my eyes began to be filled with water or something. That's the feeling. So I knew I was like, oh, that's big time breakthrough. But then about a month ago, I began, or maybe longer, I don't know. I began to feel, and my memory, or short-term memory, or even probably long-term memory, I don't know, began to improve. And then, of course, I found a way to eat all these nuts on their own, so as to expose the minerals in the small intestines or be absorbed by bacteria in the gut. Right. So now, about a month or 2 months ago, my memory began to suffer and I began to feel dizziness. In fact, that feeling in my head or these new symptoms weren't anything I felt in the past. Meaningly, the symptoms that I felt in the past, that debilitating headache, that didn't go away, but with 3 Excedrin pills, right, extra strength Excedrin pills, but it was only masking the problem and so on, and all that went away. But now I have different feelings. One of which, for example, my balance is still all right, everything's all right, and my sugar levels are perfect, right? But then, like some kind of a dizziness, right, and uh, 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 a little bit short on memory, and my speech began to suffer. So I knew it was a nervous thing, and I began to have because my left half is weaker than the right half, and that I think is true for everyone. Began to feel a tremor type, like there's like this nervousness of unable to control, but it wasn't visible, right? So Mr. Arab here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bubbled an idea in my head, said that idea was like discontinue the B12. So I discontinued the B12 and I felt better. But the fact is, those symptoms in my head and so on didn't completely go away. Now, after I discontinued the B12, I started using the B complex. But the B complex, again, things, weren't really feeling good. So the feeling in my head, I try to liken it like by way of metaphor or simile or likeness or analogy, right? Analogy. Uh, and then I found it. It felt like an overinflated tire, right? And that overinflation is causing me, uh, 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 dizziness, but not the dizziness that makes me fall down. It's not vertigo. It's that there's something here, right? Uh, and then again, Mr. Arab here came and said, stop all that B stuff, B. So I stopped all the B, except the ones that are in the 50 plus. And, I began to feel a little better. But then again, it hit me. And then I discontinued the supplement practice on empty stomach and I'm overdosing, right? Uh, I am overdosing, right? Uh, and then a week later, after I completely stopped, I was like a new human being. whatever was recovered like few months back when I started the practice of, like so much what, like kidney stoning myself with minerals and so on, uh, 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 still, still have been fixed and once and for all. And now, after I stopped taking the supplements completely, oh, I'm like, there's new feeling, right? There's new feeling. So I arrived at some point in time to a couple of theories. And what I'm going to say here is if all is fixed, right, then stop, right? And then I began to have lately something in the back of, on my lower back. And then I searched and I think this may be a kidney thing. My kidneys are, being overwhelmed by all these supplements and so on. So here, hear me out. Here's my theory. My theory is this. Uh, 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 and then, of course, we're overtaking the supplements that our body really does not need to take those supplements, minerals, and every day. Once it acquired enough to fill the reserves, right, the coffers or the reserves or whatever it is, and once it used much of that to correct the functions, physiological functions of the body, and once it fixed itself, and once it found like whatever storage in itself, that may be enough for years. Like why am I saying this is, when a mother is pregnant, and that's a theory. That's a theory, right? When a mother is pregnant, uh, well, before that, let me say. So I have two different types of 50 plus, right? One has selenium of 100 something, and one has much less contents of selenium. When I taken the blue one, which has like over 100 mcg or whatever it is of selenium, I felt much worse, right? And when I've taken the one supplement 50 plus with lesser quantities, right, I felt a little bit better. At any rate, and there's something else I want to say. When at one time I was taking that blue pill of 50 plus, I drank uh, uh, acidic olive oil, and lo and behold, some kind of interaction started in my stomach, and as if my stomach was being, was being destroyed and cut with knives and so on. So I knew there was some kind of a reaction between that pill and the acids in the olive oil. Not good, not good. So I learned not to do that anymore, and I encourage of checking that. So, anyways, my theory goes like this, and this is a theory: is that when we are born, the mother gives us enough of these minerals to continue all the way until we die, right? But then it continues. Those minerals probably, I don't know, I don't have a microscope or labs, chemical labs, or chemistry teacher to tell me about it or anything of the sort. Maybe while nursing, also these minerals or these vitamins, whatever minerals that are necessary, are given by way of nursing. So after birth, the mother continues to supply the infant with all these minerals and so on, which are enough to take you at least, say, 50 years, 20 years, I don't know. And then it takes that from her own body and gives it to you. But then you say, well, that's a problem, because if a woman gives a birth and then divides her own reserves of minerals, of whatever vitamins and supplements that she has that is necessary for the child, then she lost a lot, right? And then if she gives birth to another female, right, a girl, right, and then that girl eventually becomes pregnant and then loses, the reserve, the original reserve is being cut like in slices along the generations. And that may be true. And then again, this is a theory. So now, excuse me. Now it hit me. Here it hit me like this. Maybe there's enough of trace minerals in our food, in our everything, right? But then maybe when a woman is pregnant, then her brain orders the physiological functions to absorb more. Why? Because now there's priority. There's a fetus, that needs minerals, that needs so and so. So the brain orders the digestion system and absorption system, right, to extract more. Maybe it's a physiological function, and what I've done is really just break a hole in the wall and like went in the store for whatever it is, like those that don't go through the wall, right? So maybe it's a physiological function. Absorption maybe is a physiological function that activates when pregnancy is in place and nursing and so on and so on. But then you say, well, eventually it's not enough, true, and then we still absorb from our food whatever is enough, right? So here that led me to believe after this 5, 6, 7 months, I don't know how long, of testing that maybe when we've done the bypass and drank a lot of distilled water with minerals, with blah blah blah, we refilled that reserve again, and then we're ready to go. So for a few more years. Bottom line is this, girl, my children. Bottom line is this: is at one point, if you begin to feel like a little bit of weirdness and symptoms that are not typical to you, or stop the supplements, or find a frequency. Now I am on a frequency of 1 week. Lower supplement. I no longer overdose. I take the 50 plus, the K2 and D3, and the K2 and D3, and today on this cycle today, the frequency of today, Friday, I've taken an extra pill of magnesium, right? So you see what I'm trying to say is like maybe it's our physiology that is in command of how much we absorb and how much we don't absorb. And when we bypassed it, we just refilled again, just like the train running out of fuel at one point, and then we just abandon it, and the kids ride another train and move on, right? Maybe that, but then what I've done into my body is really refill the fuel tanks, right, with diesel, and lo and behold, or nuclear fuels, and then lo and behold, we move forward. So at one point, take a breather and see how you feel, and then if I feel very good, then I would stop completely taking minerals the way I described it, right? And then maybe I will depend on the food, right, rich of. So you know how doctors sometimes prescribe. Okay, I'm not a doctor, so all I'm saying is that's what I do with myself. So if you're listening to me or on your own, check with your doctors, like they say, girls and Zedo. So what I'm trying to say is, doctors sometimes prescribe certain treatment for you that is very expensive, but a very short time. Then after that, you should be okay. Maybe that's what I've done. I don't know. And then now my body is filled with what you call the reserves are replete with what it needs. And when I get like my head, like I said, like an overinflated tire and dizziness and began memory to suffer, is I think my brain is telling me, oh, slow down, man. Because the expulsion or whatever expulsion system is now having problem discharging all this unnecessary element. This is like a loading dock, right? And it's overfilled. You can no longer overfill it, and then the manager calls you, says, stop bringing materials into the loading dock, right? That's what I am thinking, right? That's what I am thinking. So be careful first, check with the doctor, and once you're doing just fine, all the symptoms are gone, and then after a while, if you begin to feel weirdness or kidneys or whatever it is, seize. That's it, right? The other point I want to say is this. I used to, we all hear about asteroids killing dinosaurs, right? And then in the past, I was like, it just doesn't work this way. So I developed a theory. I thought maybe and I published it on the internet somewhere, I don't know, that I think the reason was a colossal solar flare, and those who were in the water survived, those blah blah, like it's a cataclysmic event. But now, based on our absorption and what happened to me in the last few months, correcting all these physiological functions and feeling much better, and like the fountain of youth, right? And diseases, whatever diseases I had, went away and so on. Maybe that's how the dinosaurs shrunk and died, right? Because in my thinking, if, like we shrink with age, right? Like, meaningly, all these elements, as they become scarcer, right? They become scarce. Uh, 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 the new generations grow smaller. Why? Because they want to now live according, to whatever is available, not what is expected to come. That's a very big physiological function, Allah has put in us when He created us. That that our bodies, similar to us acquiring immunity and passing it to our children. I think immunity, maybe, I don't know, comes from the father, because we're updating the embryo, the sperms on daily basis. But the other things come from the mother, because that embryo is getting updated on daily basis. One of which I think is shortage of a set of circumstances, surrounding circumstances. This what that means is this. It means uh, if there's shortage of material, it is encoded in the embryo, and then the next generation of women, right, sees that, well, senses, the internal functions of consciousness, or what you call unconsciousness, sees that there is shortage of that particular material, which they inherited from the mother. That piece of information they inherited from the mother. Now they see that there is still shortage here, and it begins to be more like immunity, right? And they begin to shrink, right? Begin to shrink uh, uh, the next generation over, to accommodate, so they can survive on what is, right, and what not to expect, right? So that's what I'm thinking. You see, this is a theory that I run into now, lately, because, like I said, I mean, after I bypassed that system of absorption, I'm like a new human being, and not just that. When I overfilled, I began to feel, and when these new symptoms, right, and when I stopped, man, I'm working like, as if I'm born again, metaphorically speaking. So that's that. So, maybe dinosaurs, that's how they died. I don't know. So shrinkage of generation, maybe due to shortage of, you know, maybe also when we do what we're doing, we're tracking the the, the inheritance, biological inheritance system. Well, who cares? Let the next 20 generations from now realize that they're short on magnesium or whatever it is. No, I'm just joking. Uh, so, uh, so our physiological functions also, outside of inheriting uh, outside of inheriting immunity, they also inherit set of circumstances as decided by the body and brain of the mother, right, or the father. I don't know. Uh, uh, well, I think I have some idea, but not now. So you see our generational sizes and sizing and growth and shrinkage, and it's all affected by what is perceived by that unconscious, which is really conscious but not connected to our senses, right? Which is the majority of our brain. So that's a theory I developed. Maybe the dinosaurs just like, what the heck, there's no magnesium anymore, and they got what, by some cataclysmic event where the food and minerals was no longer available for them. So some maybe shrank, some maybe just died out, and so on, because they need a lot. If we take 50 milligram of, say, magnesium or whatever it is, a big dinosaur needs like a whole bucket of. Good thing they weren't around anymore. Anyways, so so that's theory. I want to tell you something about my approach to fasting. There was, if you ride your car, children, pay attention to me. You don't have to do this unless you're really able to do, to bear, like consequences and so on. If you're driving your car, the car wears out. Every now and then you have to go change oil, and eventually the car wears and tears and tears and wear and tear, and you either trade it in for a newer car, or but there's always, as long as the car is being used, there's always damage. The car is not going to remain new. Same thing for our bodies. Every day, if you can ingest the healthiest of foods, and like perfect, right? Perfect food, perfect supplement, perfect, whatever it is, the body is also incurring damage, right? Wear and tear. So while there's a process of ingesting food and converting that into energy and and materials to build and so on, so it's busy doing all that, right? At the same time, it's incurring damage to all these systems. I don't know, somatic, biotic systems or whatever. And sometimes that usage and building process and beat the repair process. So the repair falls back, right? And then now you begin to look weird you know. So fasting, when you fast, you allow the body to take rest from ingesting. So the function of building and converting into energy and stops if you're no longer eating, right? Uh, but the repair will always continue. So between now and then, take few days off, right? I did as long as I think 6 days or 7 days without food, right? I drink water. I would drink a lot of distilled water, right? So the body won't have to try to filter things out and so on. So just leave it as is, right? Especially if you find some kind of a disease, maybe cancer, maybe something, just fast completely, right? For a few days, and the body has now time to repair, and the repair continues, and it catches up, right? It repairs things. So there are many benefits to fasting, long fasting. I did last time. I did 4 days, right, with only water, right? Not even coffee, because coffee the body will also have to process. So it cleans up. The body has time now to clean up. Similar to, like they say, the kids going to school, and then you have time to clean the house and repair it, and. So that's the point I'm going to try to make, right? So now, if you've been doing the supplements, or don't overdose, right? Take a breather, especially those B supplements. Oh man. I mean, look, I'm not telling you not to take B supplement, whether 12 or anything else. Ask your doctor, maybe you need it. But if you have enough of it already, right, plenty of it already, taking more will cause damage, right? So if you recovered from something and then now you're afraid, right? You used my method for a while, right? And then you went back, right? You're afraid to go back. Like now you're doing well, right? All these problems went away, and health, sickness and whatnot went away, or shortage of balance and so went away. Now you're afraid to go back and stop taking the very same thing that made you healthy, right? But go ahead and do so, because if you begin to feel anything and abnormal and like back to those old time symptoms, you can start again, right? It's really symptoms that tell us the body needs things, like that's how we really know. So please take a breather, be careful, go on a lower dose, children, the lower dose, find a supplement that has lower amount, right? And then find a frequency. Now I'm going on weekly frequency. I think I'm gonna go more, right? I'm gonna probably try 2 weeks and extend it as much as I can. I have a feeling that whatever I did, taking supplements and trace minerals and all that for about 5-6 months, like over dosing, I think I don't need that anymore. And what I need to do now is just eat the food that has them, and guess what? I'm good enough. So so all that is for you to consider, kids. And please, Father loves you all. There's not one day, not 1 second, not one time I study, I look at the computer, I walk. Not one day that you're not on my mind. Wallahi, by Allah. قولي قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم. I wish you luck, my children, and I hope to see you soon.